So, who do I think is going to win the SEC championship? I'll tell you in just a minute. What is up, college football fans, fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Coos, and welcome to another edition of Coos' Corner, your go-to channel for college sports with a heavy dose of West Virginia Mountaineers. Before I break down the SEC championship game between Georgia and Alabama, I'd like to ask, if you haven't yet, please hit that red subscribe button. Please give me the thumbs up if you like the video. Please check out the Fanatics link in the description box for your sports apparel needs. I'm doing this video on Cyber Monday. There's a big sale going on right now Fanatics has today. If you watch the video today, click the link today. 20% off any purchase $75 or higher. Please check that out, and if you use that link, it'll help me out. I'll make a small commission from it, and that will help me improve this channel and give you guys even more quality videos. So let's get on with the show. First, let's look at the odds of this game. ESPN is giving Georgia a 66.5% chance to win the game. Vegas right now has them at -6.5, and the over/under on the game is 50.5. When you look at the team stats for these two teams, you got Georgia at points per game. You got Georgia at 40.7, Alabama at 42.3, so both of them are scoring at a high rate. Points allowed per game, you got Georgia at 6.9, Alabama at 19.9. That 6.9 is just remarkable. Total yards, Georgia 442.3, Alabama 492.2. Yards passing, 240 for Georgia, 342 for Alabama. Yards rushing, 202 for Georgia, 150 for Alabama. Yards allowed, you got 230 for Georgia, 294 for Alabama. Passing yards allowed, 152 for Georgia, 214 for Alabama. And then rushing yards allowed, 79 for Georgia and 81 for Alabama. So when you look at the rushing yards allowed there, I mean, Alabama is right there with Georgia. Both teams are really good at stopping the run. Both defenses are good. Georgia's defense has been better, and then Alabama's offense has been better than Georgia's offense. So this is going to be strength on strength game here, which those games are always fun and hard to predict. When you have one team who's offensively strong against the other team who's defensively strong, which team's going to bend and which team's going to break first. That's kind of what it boils down to. It's usually which team makes the less mistakes and is able to utilize their strengths better. Some other key stats that weren't on this list, when you look at sacks, Georgia's quarterbacks have only been sacked 8 times the entire season. Stetson Bennett's only been sacked like 5 times. So Georgia does a really good job of protecting their quarterbacks. And then you look at Alabama, their offensive line has had some struggles this year. Their quarterbacks have been sacked 35 times. Bryce Young's been sacked 33 times himself. I mean, heck, I think he was sacked 7 times alone in the Auburn game. So their offensive line has had some struggles. They've had some injuries up front. They've had to move some people around. And they're going into a game against probably the best defensive front in the country. Is that offensive line going to be able to hold up against the defense for Georgia? Defensive front for Georgia. And then you look at turnovers. Neither team turns the ball over a whole lot, but Georgia is more prone to turnovers than Alabama is. Now, it may not look like it in the numbers when you look at number of interceptions thrown, but Stetson Bennett has not thrown that many passes. His touchdown to interception ratio is 4-1, whereas Bryce Young's is 10-1. So Bryce Young, I mean, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the country. I mean, that drive he made against Auburn this past Saturday was just remarkable. I mean, barring a total meltdown, he should win the Heisman Trophy, in my opinion. And now let's look at some key player stats. Speaking of the quarterbacks, you got Stetson Bennett. He's 119 out of 183 passing, 1,985 yards, 21 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Like I said, he's only thrown 5 picks, but he's only thrown the ball 183 times. Bryce Young, 288 for 418, 3,901 yards, 40 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. I mean, that is just unbelievable. Rushing yards, you got White at Georgia, 128 carries, 691 yards, 10 touchdowns. Brian Robinson in Alabama, 207 carries, 1,016 yards, 14 touchdowns, one of the best backs in the country. Question is, will he be playing in this game? He got injured a little bit in the Auburn game. Is he going to be back? We don't know that yet. As I'm doing this video, to my knowledge, that's not been announced yet. Last I heard, Nick Saban said he was going to be day-to-day. They're going to track his progress throughout the week and see if he can go on Saturday. That could be a difference in this game. Receiving yards, Georgia's tight end, Brock Bowers, arguably the best tight end in the country. 37 receptions, 652 yards, 10 touchdowns. And then you got Jamison Williams for Alabama, 61 receptions, 1,261 yards, 13 touchdowns. One of the top receivers in the country. So Alabama's just got weapons at every position, at the skill positions. And then Georgia's got good players too. Now, don't get me wrong, but Georgia's bread and butter is their defense. We all know that. They've got Jordan Davis in that defensive line up front that just wreaks havoc on any team they play, and including the linebackers. Their linebackers are playing well too. Their front seven is just unbelievable. Probably the best front seven in college football right now. The keys to this game for me, for both teams, you look at Georgia. The key for Georgia, in my opinion, is Stetson Bennett. If Stetson Bennett can protect the football and make the throws he needs to make, then that Georgia has a really good chance of winning this game. Can he do that? Can he play even close to what Bryce Young will play? Because Alabama's defense is good too. They're no slouch. Georgia's defense gets all the hype, but Alabama's defense, as you saw by those numbers, not that much worse. So can Stetson Bennett throw the football good enough to win the game for Georgia? Because more than likely, Georgia's not going to be able to run the football against Alabama, because Alabama's run defense is really good. So they're going to force him to beat him with his arm. Can he do it? And that's where I think Brock Bowers comes into play. If Brock Bowers can make some plays down the middle of the field and take advantage of some mismatches on linebackers, then that's definitely going to be a huge plus for Georgia. Can they do that enough times, and can Stetson get him the football to take advantage of some mismatches? And then for Alabama, the keys to me, offensive line protecting Bryce Young. Because if he has time to throw the football, he can do pretty much whatever he wants to do. And as we know, as I mentioned earlier, they've given up a lot of sacks this year. They've been having to move people around because of injuries, and they're playing the best defensive front in the country. So can they hold up? Can they give him just enough time to throw the football? We'll see. And can they establish any type of running game whatsoever? That'll be if Brian Robinson's there, maybe they can. I don't know if they can anyway, because Georgia's defense is just that good. But either way, Bryce Young's going to have to make some plays down the field, and he needs time to do that. And, in Georgia, if there is a weakness to this defense, it's their secondary. If you listen to guys who've watched a lot of film, I've been listening to a lot of different podcasters and people over the weekend who have watched a lot of Georgia football this year and have broke down film on them. And almost all of them say that Georgia's secondary does leave a lot of people open. But their front seven has been so good that they've been able to hide that, because they get to the quarterbacks so fast that they don't have time to get rid of the football anyway. If Bryce Young has any time at all, he could pick that Georgia secondary apart potentially. So that's going to be a key to watch too. Can Georgia's secondary step up and play good football in this game? And now my score prediction. Almost everybody's picking Georgia to win. Georgia's the favorite by both Vegas and by ESPN and by most people across the country. And if you look at it on paper, they should be the favorite, because their defense is only giving up 6.9 points a game. But Nick Saban is the GOAT. Bryce Young is the best quarterback in football. They've got Bill O'Brien calling plays. I know he's gotten some criticism from some Alabama fans, but I still think he's a good football coach. The guy's been a head coach at the NFL level. He knows what he's doing. I think he's going to put a scheme together that where they'll be able to work around that Georgia pass rush and to try to offset the weaknesses in their offensive line. And let's keep in mind, Bryce Young, he don't need a whole lot of time. If you give him 2 to 3 seconds, he will make a play. He don't need 4 seconds to make a play. I mean, you look at the last drive of that Auburn game, there was a lot of times the pocket was collapsing on him within 2 seconds, and he was still able to make a play down the field. And also, with his ability to scramble around and avoid the rush and make plays with his feet if he has to, that's going to help as well. So I really feel like with Alabama, even though Georgia's got the better defense, I don't think they're going to be able to shut Alabama's offense down. And I don't think Georgia's offense is going to be able to score enough points on Alabama, because I just don't think their offense is good enough. Because I think Alabama's going to make them one-dimensional, and I don't think Georgia's going to be able to throw the football well enough to beat Alabama. And then you take into consideration that you got Nick Saban on the sideline, who is hard to pick against, and you got the best quarterback in the country. I'm picking Alabama to win the game. I'm going with my gut here. I just feel like for whatever reason, Alabama has been tried and tested. They've had a lot of close games this year, and some people look at that as a negative. I actually look at it as a positive going into a game like this, because Georgia's not been tested a lot since the first game of the season. They've been blowing everybody out. So when it comes down to crunch time in a tight game, I trust Alabama to make plays more than I do Georgia, just because they've been there, they've done that, even recently as early as this past Saturday. The moment's not going to get too big for them. They're going to know how to react, and they're going to be able to make plays in crunch time. And it's going to be a close one, but I predict Alabama wins the game 24-21, potentially even on a last-second field goal. But until somebody can prove to me that they can beat Alabama in the SEC, I'm probably going to pick them, because I just don't. Even though Georgia's defense has been dominant, Alabama's offense has been almost as dominant. So that's the reason I'm picking them, for those reasons. Well, let me know what you think in the comments. Shoot me a comment. Let me know what your score prediction is for this game. I'm sure a lot of you are probably going to pick Georgia to win. If you do, let me know and what your score prediction is. Let me know if I'm crazy for picking Alabama. And like I said before, please, if you haven't yet, please don't forget to subscribe. Thumbs up. Don't forget the Fanatics link. Go check that out for me and buy your apparel needs before the day's over with on Cyber Monday. Get that 20% off. And check out this video right here. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.